Well, well, well. The king finally decided to show up. Tsuki. Kageyama rolled his eyes. Alright, guys, that's enough. We have to practice. Kageyama nodded. Fine. Kageyama, do a quick warm-up. Then, we'll start the practice. Alright. Hey, what's that on your arm? Kageyama paused for a moment, glancing down at his bandaged wrist. Are you injured? Kageyama, are you hurt? No, I'm fine. Are you sure? We can't have you playing if you are. We don't want to risk injuring you further. Kageyama nodded once more. Sure. Daichi and Suga shared a look and nodded. Both silently agreeing, they needed to keep an eye on their underclassmen. Practice went on as normal after that. Kageyama tried his best to ignore the pain in his wrist. It didn't make it any better that Hinata kept asking for his tosses over and over again. Okay Hinata, this is the last time. Hinata nodded with a bright smile. After a while, practice ended and they all started cleaning up. By then, the pain in Kageyama's wrist had gotten much worse. Even the slightest movement made the pain unbearable. Kageyama, are you really okay? Daichi and Sugawara listened in on their conversation. Yeah, of course, I'm okay. Why wouldn't I be? Well, I didn't want to say this in front of the others, your tosses were really different. What? Oh shit. He thought to himself. Yeah, so you're okay, right? Kageyama nodded. That's good. Kageyama turned to face the others. I'm sorry but I have to head out now. A teacher wanted to see me before classes. That's obviously a lie. King just wants us to do all the cleaning. Kageyama was in fact lying. But not for that reason. He didn't mind cleaning. He never did. But he could barely move his wrist as it is. He stammered, not knowing what to say. Whatever it is you need to do, go ahead. It's alright. We'll finish up here. Kageyama turned to Daichi. Thank you. He quickly exited the gym, heading over to the locker room to change into his school attire. After he got changed, he rolled up his sleeve, just enough to see his wrist. Tears welled up in his eyes. Fuck. He stared down, not blinking, scared it would cause his tears to fall. No. I can't cry, not here. Not yet. They'll be here soon. He clenched his fist, smashing it into a locker. Fuck. He heard someone let out a gasp. His eyes widened as he turned to see his friends staring at him in surprise. Kageyama. Holy shit. Kageyama had no idea what to say. That's a lie, he did know. But he couldn't get anything to come out. He desperately wanted to ask, how much of that were you here for? But he couldn't. Is everything alright? Why can't I say anything? Am I that scared? He asked himself in shock. Are you crying? Kageyama was frozen in place. What? He scanned the faces of those around him. Everyone, even Tsukishima, seemed to be in shock. Slowly, he brought his hand up to his face. His cheeks were wet. Asahi was right. He was crying. Kageyama, finally feeling a sense of control over himself, quickly began making his way out of the locker room. Hinata grabbed his wrist, stopping him from leaving. Kageyama turned to the orange-haired boy in shock, memories of the night before filling his head. Him screaming apologies, the woman he called mother throwing him into that room. Everything. More tears fell from his eyes as he jerked his wrist away, making it hurt like hell. He backed up into a wall. Sliding down it. Hinata quickly made a move to comfort the boy, but Sugawara grabbed his hand. He turned to the older boy in shock. All Sugawara did was shake his head. I'm sorry. Be more specific. You have a lot to be sorry for, King. Suga sent Tsukishima a sharp look which shut him up rather fast. Don't call me that. He screamed out. His voice was full of pain and fear. No one dared to move. Tsukishima in particular was in shock. Sure, Kageyama had yelled at him for calling him king before, but never that loud, or anything remotely like that. King. He whispered the name out of habit before he could stop himself. I said don't call me that, please. Instead of screaming it like the last time, it was barely audible. Then he broke out into quiet sobs, pulling his legs close to his chest and hiding his face. Hinata decided to make a move as Suga wasn't holding him back anymore. Slowly, he walked over to Kageyama and put a hand on his shoulder. Kageyama flinched, looking up in fear. It was obvious his mind was elsewhere at the moment. Please don't hurt me, Kageyama whispered in fear. That was the last straw. Hinata began to cry. Kageyama was one of his friends. And seeing him like this hurt him so much. At this point, Sugar, the only one other than Hinata that wasn't frozen in shock, walked over to the boy and began softly speaking to him so that only Kageyama could hear. After a bit, Kageyama had calmed down. He was more aware of his surroundings than before. This is when he realized he had broken down into tears in front of everyone. His eyes went wide. He looked up at everyone in the room before quickly facing the ground and standing up. Are you okay now? Kageyama nodded, refusing to face them. I'm sorry. He apologized before running out of the locker room. What the fuck just happened? Kageyama ran down the school's hallways until he found the boys' bathroom. He stopped running once he made it inside. Much to his delight, no one was there. He walked over to the sinks, taking a shaky breath as he turned the water on. He stared at it for a moment and putting his hands under it and splashing his face with some. I'm such an idiot. He scolded himself. He believed that at afternoon practice they'd begin asking questions that he'd rather not answer, such as, why did you ask for us not to hurt you? He was lucky enough to not have any classes with the first years. At lunch and their breaks he could just hide out in the bathroom. But practice was unavoidable. After a bit, when he looked normal, he exited the bathroom and began walking to his first class. Once he got there he entered the room and sat in his seat, turning to look out the window until class began.